What's happening, guys? Okay, so usually I don't involve myself in these kind of things, but I think this topic is getting a bit out of hand and a lot of people are not understanding it. Now, first of all, I'm from Angola, so I was born in Angola, but I've been living in South Africa since 1997. I came to South Africa with the intentions to study. So I had a study permit that I was using to study in South Africa, and every school that you go to, you have to get a study permit for that school. So anyways, I don't want to drag this, but I want to explain the situation of this Chidimma, this Chichi chick, and everything that's going on and why people are misunderstanding it. So when I finished high school and I was going to university, I needed to get a study permit for the university I was going to. So I was going to Wits, so I needed a study permit for Wits. So when I graduate at Wits, I can then qualify to get my qualification because I'm legal in the country with a permit that allows me to study at Wits. The issue that you find in South Africa with foreigners is they come to South Africa with a visitor's visa. And then they use that visa to stay in South Africa. They don't even bother to renew it. Some of them then, they find fraudulent ways to try to get a permanent, permit. Some get study permits, but they're not even students. I know a lot of people who have study permits in their passports and they're not even students. Some get married to South African women so they can get South African IDs. That process now became long because the Home Affairs started investigating, so they would come to your house to check if you guys really live together, why are you guys not having children, because it's a 5-year process where you get a marriage certificate and then after that you can apply for permanent residency. I even had a white friend of mine who was married to a woman from England who was deported because she forgot to renew her marriage certificate, which is the law. Okay, furthermore, Chichi's situation is not as tricky as we all thought. Yes, all of us had an opinion because we felt sorry for her. She's 23 years old. She doesn't know anything. Issue number one, the father admitted that they came to South Africa on a visitor's visa for the World Cup. That's the first time they came to South Africa, but the girl's 23, so there's the problem already. The age and the time the father came here, it's not balancing. Okay, let's forget about that discrepancy. Let's assume she was born here, the mother's Mozambican, and the father's Nigerian. Chichi's a foreigner, she can't be South African. Why am I saying this? Because I'm going to use myself as an example. So I've got 4 kids. 2 of my first children, 2 daughters, were born from a Congolese woman. Both of us were living in South Africa. She had an asylum, and I, back then, was still studying, so I had a study permit, but I was going to Boston, so I had a Boston study permit. When we went to the hospital to give birth to our children, we were given the same form that you are given, but it was written foreign child. So that paper allowed us to just go to our embassy. So we went to the Angolan embassy and registered our child as an Angolan. Then went to the Congolese embassy and registered the child as a Congolese. So she got dual citizenship, which is my citizenship and the mother's citizenship. But she couldn't get a South African one because we did not have South African citizenship. So that happened to both of my first 2 children. So let's fast forward to a couple of years later. I started dating a white woman. In the 6-year relationship we had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. Now, she's a white South African who is a citizen. In 2018, I got my South African ID because I had applied for permanent residency, and because I've been here for very long and I went through the whole process, which is a very long process. Just the vetting of your criminal record takes over a year. So eventually I get my ID. I get my permanent residency certificate, which I use to go apply for an ID. Now, I don't have my ID on me, it's in my office, but in my ID, it says that my nationality is Angolan. I'm a non-South African citizen. I've got permanent residency. I got a 13 barcode ID number, but I'm not a citizen. So that means I cannot even vote. My ID just allows me to be able to open bank accounts. I'm legal in the country. I pay tax, open businesses, and so forth. Now, when we had our children, me and my South African partner, the white woman, our children automatically were South African, not because of me, but because of her, the mother. Because whether I put myself in the birth certificate or not, because the mother is a South African, the children are South African. In Chichi's situation is both the parents are foreigners. Now, I don't know if the law has changed or something else. Now, if both parents are foreigners, regardless of her being born here, she cannot be South African. Now we have found out that her foreign mother she used a stolen identity. It's done. If that is the case, it's done. If that's the case, as much as we want to use emotions and we want to use feelings and we want to feel sorry for her because she's young, she did nothing wrong, she was just a child, which is the truth. Legally, her parents plus her, maybe her parents can go to jail for the fraudulent stuff, but she has to get deported. But the problem is, where are you going to deport her because she knows no other country but South Africa? So you can't deport her to Nigeria because she doesn't know Nigeria, she only knows South Africa because she was born here. So the parents are the ones that did wrong. Now, what should be done? Definitely, she needs to step aside from Miss South Africa, one. Secondly, the community, the society, the country, whatever, need to forgive her and allow her to continue with the permit, but they need to do due process where they give her a new ID because this was fraudulently obtained, and that means her mother is that woman whose identity was stolen. So she needs to then go through the proper process, okay, get a new ID, which is a non-citizen ID, non-citizenship ID, okay, but then a permanent residency ID. But the parents must then face the consequences. I think that's the only solution, because in the end of the day, the reality is foreigners are doing the most in South Africa. And yes, South Africa is a xenophobic country. Oh yes, it definitely is. I don't care what anybody says. But there are those instances, like right now, where they are not wrong. And the unfortunate reality is many times they are not wrong. So, yes, they are xenophobic, but are they really xenophobic if every time they actually prove us wrong or prove themselves right or prove us right, however you want to look at it? Zimbabweans, Nigerians are doing the most. I got a notification now, somebody arguing me about this very same topic. They are doing the most in South Africa, and South Africans are tired. I live in an area which in South Africa is considered a white neighborhood. Don't mind the zinc here. I'm building. I'm renovating my home. If you go to our mall, every employee there, cashier, everything, people cleaning is Zimbabweans. Yet South Africans don't have work, are lacking jobs. South Africans are tired, life is hard, the economy is bad. Home Affairs needs to do better. This is just proof, and we keep proving South Africans right that enough is enough. They are tired, they want their country back, they want things to be run properly. I don't know, what's your guys' opinion?